I do understand. Like I said, I've read the Bible as well. I do understand that they say that Jesus did say something about even thinking lustful thoughts is considering adultery. The only problem with that is lust isn't just sexual. You can lust over food. You can lust over a car. You know, all lust means is an envy. It means you seriously want it. So, if lust is considered... Oh, by the way, I like the whole... I was a left-hand spanker. That shit was funny shit, too. That was good, man. But, this is, I guess, part 2 of the Sunday special. Just, you know, answering to some of your comments. And, dude, you can blow my shit up all day long. I don't care. I enjoy the comments. You know, it's nice to see people are actually paying attention. Like I said, even if you don't agree with me, at least you're talking. At least you're giving your own opinion on things. That's what I'm trying to get people to do, is to give their own opinion. But anyway, yes, he does say like he says vaguely, masturbation is obscene, which, you know, I always make this joke. If masturbation was so bad, then why did God give us our arms so long enough to be able to grab our own dicks? And then you had a guy named Rodney Carrington. He was a comedian in the 90s. It's really, really funny. Old redneck comedian. Was talking about, you know, maybe if someone would eject the T-Rex's big ass off, maybe it would have been so mean. They started singing the I Love You song from Barney. That shit cracked me up. And yes, I know it's called A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. And, you know, it's funny how they cover all the bases. It's like they already knew that some of these priests were going to be very, very bad people. But on the part about how wolf in sheep's clothing and a priest, what really is the difference? They're both trying to indoctrinate you. They're both trying to control you to get you to do what they want you to do. Like I said, that's why they get your children to come in. And don't get me wrong, not all preachers teach hate. You know, my dad doesn't teach hate, at least not that I know of. You know, I've been to quite a few of his little sermons, you know, where he's, what every preacher does, yells at you about shit. But a lot more than I don't judge everybody for what one person does. You know, there's been a multitude of evidence of these preachers just preaching hate. You know, when you're saying, you know, like for example, when all these preachers were bitching about how they shouldn't let homosexuals get married in their churches. You know, that right there is hatred. You know, these guys are good people. You know, some of them are even better than most of the Christians I've ever met. You know, they're really nice, they're really kind, and it's not because they want to sleep with me, it's because they're actually nice people. You know, they're actually happy with their lives. And one of the things I was telling a guy the other day, again, it pissed him off, which is very common in these videos. It's like what Eminem said in his Slim Shady song, God sent me to piss the world off, I guess. Anyway, I don't claim that I know everything. I don't claim that everybody in the world, that every scientist is just instantly more intelligent than preachers or religious zealots, because some of them are quite intelligent. That's why their ideology is so alluring, is because they do have intelligence, but they're using it in a very bad way. For lack of better terms, they're using it in a sinful way. You know, like I said, the Westbury Church, in the 1700s, the Catholic Church did this. You know, the Muslim mosques and all them, they do this. You know, I think the only ones that are monotheistic, that really aren't violent at all, are the Jewish community. Now, granted, 2,000 years ago, the Jewish people fought just like everybody else did. They fought over land, they had their own armies, you know. Okay, you know, everybody's had an army. But one of the things I've always told people, like when they're like, oh, well, what about Stalin? What about Hitler? For one, Hitler was an Orthodox Jew for a while. And then he became a Catholic. No, Hitler damn sure believed in God. Stalin was almost a preacher, and then at the last second said, no, I'm going to become an atheist. Now, he wasn't killing people in the name of atheism. He was killing people because they were going against him. And he was slaughtering whole towns. Like I said, Stalin was worse than Hitler. The only thing is Stalin didn't televise what he was doing. You know, Hitler, everything was well documented what the Nazis were doing. You know, we're still uncovering shit from what the Nazis were doing. And that was 70 years ago, give or take. I'm just saying, like I said in the video previous to this, you want a good guy to do terrible things, just quote God. You know, say God wills it, and then for some odd reason that gives him the okay to do stupid shit. And like I said, not all religious people are mean people. Just the majority of them that I've met usually are very, very dickish when it comes to certain things. Like homosexuality, like depending on what sect, like the Catholics had this one, it's called the Opus Dei. The Opus Dei practiced, they were the most Orthodox Catholics you can ever meet. They ate, slept, and breathed Catholicism. In their little churches they had, it was divided down the middle. Women were on one side, men were on the other. Women were servants to men, which is, according to this book, is what it's supposed to be. You know, that's all women are for in this book. And in most religions, that's all women are supposed to be. They're supposed to shut up, have your kids, take care of the house, and do everything the man tells her to do. She doesn't have the right to think for herself. He thinks for her. In fact, that's why most women weren't allowed to read, was because they were subservient to men, because that's what the Bible said to do. You know, boys in most religions are held to be in a higher bracket than women. And I mean, you even see this today. You know, you don't really see a lot of female preachers. You see all you see mainly is males. Because even in the Bible, it says there's God, there's man, then there's woman. Woman has no right to have any power over man. And that's in that book. And like I said, I have a lot of distaste towards the Bible because it preaches hatred, no matter where you turn. I mean, yeah, you can find some psalms that are, oh, so precious. But then not even two chapters later, it's going to talk about bashing somebody. Whether physically or just because of their sexual orientation, their hair color, you know, who they're fucking, what sex they are. If you're a child or if you're a woman, it doesn't matter, you know. There's this thing that I saw the other day when I was doing some more research on this, because I do a lot, like I said, I do a lot of research on religion. You know, if someone tries to tell me, oh, well, the Bible says this, I look it up. It's like, where does it say this? And if it does, I'll acknowledge it. Yeah, it says it right here. And like I said, people say this is the word. This is not just a word, this is the word. This is the only word that God sent down. So he sent down these words to a bunch of people who could not read or write. Most of them died at the age of about 40. More than likely, the children would die still in their infancy by infections of their teeth. You know, malnourishment was very bad back then. So, if this Jesus character was alive, and he did die at 33 or 34, whatever the hell you believe, he was already an old man anyway. He was going to die within 10 years. You know, men and women didn't live that long back then. 2,000 years ago, like I said, I think the oldest at the time was maybe 45, 50. And that was, you know, the rich people of the time. The rich were the ones who lived longer because they had all the capabilities. The poor people did not. You know, it was one of those things, you know, you might as well love them now because they're probably going to die tomorrow. And there's a lot of theories behind the whole Jesus character. You know, what was said, what wasn't really said. You know, if this guy really was a teacher, where's his teachings? Every teacher that's ever existed has their own writings. There's not one writing from him. Not one book, not one teaching philosophy. It's all about hearsay. And like I said before, it's all about what people heard that this guy said. Not what they heard directly. It's what they heard from somebody else that somebody else told them that he said or that he did. None of these books were written by him. None of these books are written by people that were around him of the time. You know, you have, I call them the canonical four, the Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. The 4 books that depict Jesus. None of these guys can agree with what time he was born, where he was born, under what star he was born, or who his dad even was. They can't even tell you they give you 4 different versions of a story, and every version is different. And everybody says, well, John the Baptist baptized Jesus. That's what it says in the Bible. No, he didn't. John the Baptist wasn't even around during Jesus' time. He wasn't around for almost 100 years after. Which is, if you're going by the way that people lived at the time, that's almost 3 generations ahead. I will admit, one of the vague things that it's either Luke or Mark that was closest to the time of Jesus. They were within like 10 to 15 years of the death of Jesus Christ. That was the closest. But again, everything they wrote down was hearsay. You know, some said he was born in Bethlehem. Some said he was born in Jerusalem. You know, if these guys were indeed his right-hand men, if you will, or in mine, in this dude's case, the lefties, they would have known where he was born because he would have told them. They would have known what he said because they would have been there, but they weren't there. You know, they were sitting around a campfire, sitting around some other weird place, probably knowing these guys, probably alcohol, so probably at a pub somewhere or a brothel, and somebody was telling them about this guy. So, like I was saying, when it comes to the Jesus character, there is no actual evidence. So, and like I said, I'll give it to you. Maybe there was a Jesus. Maybe he was born in Bethlehem. Maybe he was born in Jerusalem. You know, it doesn't matter where he was born or what time, even though everybody swears up and down December 25th is the time he was born, which, if you go by the religion that was around before the Jesus character, it was actually the pagans' beliefs. And December 25th is the winter solstice. Easter is the spring solstice. It's funny how all these religious holidays were literally ripped away from other religions. And just like a lot of their beliefs were ripped away from other religions, like the polytheistic religions, aka multiple gods, they were taken away and transformed into the single religion. And it's also funny how a lot of the stories about Jesus, you know, being born of a virgin, you know, that story was created 2,000 years before him with Osiris. He was the star of the east. He was born of a virgin. He was a God's son. He was a teacher. He was crucified and resurrected in 3 days. And that's not the only story. There were at least 5 other gods before Jesus that had these abilities, that did all this. So you literally just stole the story from other people and made it your own, which is what usually happens. It's like I said in one of my other videos, which pissed off a lot of people. Oh no, it wasn't a video. It was on agnostic.com. It was I said history is mainly written by the winners. You know, you don't ever get both sides of the story. Like, do you see any writings from the Native Americans? No. Do you see any writings from, you know, the Southerners? No, you don't. You don't see. I mean, you hear a bunch of idiots saying the South will rise again, which, again, it's fucking retarded to be like that. You know, that happened forever ago, man. Drop it. It's like the whole slavery thing. It happened 150 plus years ago. Just drop it. You know, what happened 150 years ago has nothing to do with you today. So stop. And this thing's being a bitch. There we go. Now, back to what I was originally saying about the whole masturbation and all that stuff. I agree with you that he did say that. Because like I said, when I saw the comment, I looked it up again. I mean, I remember hearing something about it, but it's not something that's really said a lot. It's considered a taboo subject. Masturbation, sex, you know, they're considered taboo subjects. Why? I don't know. No, masturbation is actually healthy for you. Too much masturbation is not. Like, the Chinese have a saying, it's called Wu Ji Bi Fan, which literally means too much of a good thing is a bad thing. You know, sometimes I'd rather self-gratificate myself. You know, just twist one off, take a shower, clean up, go to work, whatever. You know, you got to do what you got to do. And like I said in some of my previous videos, this usually portrays more towards females, is that if you don't know how to get yourself off, how do you expect a random dude to get you off? You know, if you expect a dude to get you off and you don't even know how to get yourself off, how are you going to teach this dude to do it? Because that's all sex is you're teaching each other what you like and what you don't like. You know, you don't just go in inherently knowing everything that the person likes. And contrary to what most men believe, women don't just like you to stick it in and go in and out as fast as you can. I mean, some women like that, but that's if you're fucking. If you're actually trying to make a relationship work, there's a reason why it's called making love, and there's a reason why it's called fucking. Fucking is what you do when you're just trying to bust a nut. You don't care about the person. Making love or having sexual intercourse is more of a, for lack of better words, spiritual thing, where you're trying to please each other at the same time. But granted, you know, that I don't know why that came up, but whatever. When it comes to the religious aspects of everything, instead of listening to the preacher, instead of letting this old man yell at you until his voice is hoarse about the same stupid shit over and over again, why not read the book yourself? You know, read it from cover to cover. Read it from Genesis to Exodus. Read the whole damn thing. And then make your thought about it. Instead of just listening to certain parts. As I've quoted parts of the Bible that people are like, oh, that's not in there. I like Exodus 21, for example. You know, it's promoting slavery. Saying that you should indeed own slaves. And not only does it say you should indeed own slaves, it even talks about the logistics of buying and selling slaves. Saying if you have a male slave, you can let him go in 10 years. But you can also hook him. To where if you give him a wife and they have kids, then he's your slave forever. But his wife is always going to be your slave. She doesn't get to go away. Same with the kids. And if a slave owner dies, then he wills his slave to his descendants. And that's in Exodus 21. There's also, I think it's in Philippians, sorry. I think it's in Philippians where they talk about slavery too. And like I said, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, you know, it's literally promoting rape. No, saying you destroy, or not Sodom and Gomorrah. It's actually, yeah, it is a story of Sodom and Gomorrah. It's also the story of Moses, where you kill all the men in this particular tribe, kill all the women who have known men, kill all the little boys, but keep the virgins as yourself so you may know them. And everybody's like, oh, that's not a nefarious thing. Really? In Sodom and Gomorrah, they wanted the angel to come out so they may know him, so they may sodomize him. So why would we take a different definition from the same exact saying in the same part of the book? I mean, to be fair, it's all the same to me. It's an extraordinary book. It's actually kind of boring sometimes. You know, it's all about dedicating your life to an omniscient being that you cannot see, you cannot fathom to see, or your eyes will burn. You cannot hear his voice directly, or your ears or your head will blow up. You know, they make all these powerful things for this character, but yet they don't give you proof of the character's existence. And that's all I'm saying. You know, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. You know, one of the funny little gifs I was reading was when Stephen Hawking died. It said Stephen Hawking died, and it was from the perspective of God. He said Stephen Hawking's been up here for 15 minutes and he's already telling me how I don't exist. That cracked me up because I was like, that sounds like something Stephen Hawking would actually do. Same with Christopher Hitchens. Same with a lot of atheists. You know, and I'm not saying pure atheism or what. I mean, yes, my tag name is Extreme Atheist. Because I'm an extremist to a point to where if you're going to try to shove your religion down my throat, you better have fucking proof of these extraordinary thoughts, these extraordinary belief structures. You're going to make extraordinary claims, you need extraordinary evidence. You know, like I said, atheists don't claim to know everything. Religion does. So you better have the evidence to back up your claim. If you don't have the evidence to back up your claim, then what the hell are you doing, man? Now, like I said, this is part 2 to what I did earlier. Like I said, comments, I love them. They're funny. They crack me up. Even if you're trying to bash me for something, I still laugh at it because I'm like, dude, you're bashing me for a video, but I don't see you making videos. You know, make a video of what you believe, and I'll be more than willing to watch it. I'll comment on it too. We can have a full-on discussion. You know, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it to where there's not such a big gap between atheist knowledge and religious knowledge. You know, I'm trying to close the gap to where we can actually talk in civil tones without somebody trying to crucify my ass. Granted, I will admit some of my videos are pretty risque, if you will. Like the ones about sex, the ones about, you know, snowflakes, aka people that get offended over the small shit. And there's a lot of them. In fact, one of them's in my family. You know, I called her a sheeple. I called her a sheep just as playing, and she got pissed. Which, it was a joke. You know, like I said, jokes are jokes. Grow up, man. But anyway, I think I'm going to get off this video here. I'm going to go inside, spend time with my wife. For lack of better words, peace, love, guys. You know, have a good day.